The story of the Vikings is drenched in blood and legend. But before they became warriors, before their names echoed across burning monasteries and shattered kingdoms, they were fishermen. Men who rose before dawn to wrestle with the sea, and sometimes the sea wrestled back. Their world wasn't built on gold or conquest alone. It was built on something humbler and far more enduring. Fish, whale, salt, bone. The lifeblood of an empire born from hunger and cold. If you stay till the end, you'll learn the one truth the sagas never tell. How the Vikings' most ruthless conquest wasn't of land or people, but of the ocean itself. The North was beautiful, but cruel. Soil that froze before seeds could bloom. Winters that swallowed entire months. To live here was to learn submission or die. So they turned to the only god that answered their prayers, the sea. The North Atlantic was both grave and guardian. Its waves carried despair and deliverance in equal measure. In the sagas, we read of raids and battles. But in the silence between verses, there's something else. The smell of salt fish drying on wooden racks, the hiss of boiling seawater, the creak of nets straining with cod. Fish wasn't just food, it was survival. And more than that, it was currency. From cod and herring to salmon and eels, the Vikings mastered the cold trade of preservation. They salted it, dried it, hung it in the wind until it became stockfish, the gold of the North. A single ship filled with dried cod could feed an army or buy iron, silk, and silver in faraway markets. Fishing didn't just keep them alive, it built the foundation of their world, quiet wealth beneath the noise of conquest. But what happens when the sea's gifts aren't enough? When survival demands something bigger and far more dangerous? The Viking longboat was an instrument of power, not only for war, but for work. Its hull sliced through waves, steady enough for oars, wide enough for nets. Every family near the coast had men who knew the tides by memory, who could smell a storm before seeing it. Fishing was no pastime. It was destiny. Communities gathered before sunrise. Fathers, sons, and thralls rowed out together, chanting to keep rhythm. The ocean swallowed their words, gave back silence, and, if they were lucky, a catch that could mean life or death. But even then, some men hungered for more than fish. The sea offered something colossal, an animal so vast it seemed divine. And when one of these giants surfaced near their boats, temptation drowned all fear. At first, they scavenged. A stranded whale on the shore was a miracle. Meat for a year, oil for lamps, bones for tools. In Icelandic law, whoever found a beached whale could claim it, unless a king or chieftain demanded a share. But soon, scavenging wasn't enough. Men began to wonder, if a whale could die on the shore, why not at sea? It began quietly. Spears thrown from boats, rope lines tightening against waves, a desperate struggle between men and a mountain of flesh. Sometimes they won, sometimes the sea took them instead. From those brutal encounters was born one of the earliest traditions of whaling, centuries before it became an industry. And for the Vikings, it was more than hunting. It was a test of faith. Because in Norse myth, the ocean wasn't just water, it was alive. And when they pierced a whale's flesh, they believed they were striking at a god's creation itself. Picture this, a fog-drenched sea off Iceland, a cluster of longboats, their torches flickering against the mist. A low sound breaks the silence, a groan, ancient and deep. The surface erupts, a whale, massive and breathing steam into the cold air. They throw their spears, iron bites flesh, the water explodes into red foam. The whale thrashes, vanishes, reappears, its tail a tower of bone and muscle. Ropes snap, men scream. Somewhere in the chaos, one fisherman loses 5 spears in a single day, each worth a fortune. He never hunts again. But others can't stop. Archaeologists today find the bones of those creatures in Icelandic soil, etched with tool marks and spear scars. Proof that these weren't accidents, they were hunts. Evidence that Viking whalers targeted not just small coastal species, but giants, even blue whales. A single whale could yield as much as 30 tons of meat, enough to feed a village through winter, enough oil to light 100 halls. It was worth the risk. Because to conquer the whale was to conquer the sea itself. And yet, the deeper they ventured, the darker the waters became. Whale hunting wasn't a profession. It was a gamble. The ocean was merciless, and the whales unpredictable. A flipped boat meant death in seconds. A broken spear meant ruin. But for those who returned, the reward was monumental. Whale oil lit the nights of the North. Whalebone became tool, weapon, and art. Their economy, once built on cod, now pulsed with something bigger, a power drawn from the sea's heart. Yet the Vikings believed in balance. Every whale killed was a pact with the gods, a bargain that could turn fatal. In one saga, a man spears a blue whale. For 15 years, that same whale, now scarred and furious, haunts his ship, dragging men into the deep. The line between myth and memory blurred. To hunt a whale was to challenge fate. And fate, in Norse belief, never forgot. If you're enjoying this dive into the darker side of Viking life, the hunger, the superstition, the survival, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We explore the untold stories of history, the ones written not in ink, but in blood, salt, and bone. Now, let's return to the hunt. By the 10th century, Viking fishing and whaling had become something greater than survival. It was commerce. Dried cod, whale oil, and fishbone carvings moved through the same trade routes as silver and slaves. From the markets of Hedeby to the ports of Dublin, Norse traders exchanged the ocean's flesh for the wealth of the continent. Stockfish, the dried, weightless treasure of the North, fed armies, monasteries, and explorers long after the Vikings themselves vanished. And yet, history forgot them. When people imagine Viking wealth, they picture raided gold. But the true treasure was always the same, caught by calloused hands, salted in the wind and sold across 1,000 miles of sea. Fishing built their empire. Whaling made them legends. But as centuries passed, the sea began to change, and so did they. Industrialization devoured the old ways. By the modern age, the Norse descendants who once ruled the waves became part of the machinery that stripped them bare. Whaling turned from survival into slaughter, until the whales themselves vanished from northern waters. In Iceland and Norway today, the echoes of that past remain. Old bones unearthed from the soil tell stories of harpoons and hunger. Coastal villages whisper of ancestors who hunted the biggest animal on earth with nothing but faith and steel. But in those same villages, the young leave. The racks where fish once dried now stand empty. The old songs of the sea fade with the tide. And yet, the ocean remembers. Every tide that crashes on the northern shore carries fragments of their story. The call of men who once believed they could master the sea. But can the sea ever truly be mastered? Or does it only lend its mercy, until it's ready to take it back? The Vikings are remembered as conquerors. But history's truest conquests aren't always marked in blood. Sometimes they're measured in survival. They fished to live. They hunted to endure, and through centuries of frost, famine, and fury, they learned the ocean's one sacred rule. Everything it gives, it can take away. Their story isn't just about the past. It's a mirror, a warning for us. We too draw our power from the sea. We too believe it will never run dry. But the Vikings learned the hard way. No empire, no man, and no ocean remains unconquered forever. If this journey through the lost world of Viking fishermen and whalers captivated you, don't let the story end here. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next tale from history's darker depths. And when this video fades to black, look to the screen. Because the next story waiting for you may just change how you see the past forever.